Hi, morning everyone. Welcome to episode 49 of the Knitting Expat Podcast. My name is Mina and I'm coming to you today from Bahrain. And I live here with my husband and our two cats. This is one of them. This is Derek. He's not been on the podcast much recently because he's usually asleep when I'm filming. This morning he was sleeping, but I went and grabbed him anyway because so many of you have been complaining that he's not been on the podcast much lately, thinking that he's been missing out. So you guys go. Did Derek love for you this morning? Yeah. He's such a sweet little nugget. Look at that face. Hey. Aww. We'll see if he'll stay here. Hugo is also with me. He's actually behind me. He's sat on this chair. I'm sort of perched right at the front. Ooh, he's gone off to investigate. No, you can't have my coffee. He's sort of sleeping on the chair behind me because apparently this is his chair and not mine, and I am not allowed to sit on it properly. So I will grab him in a little bit and... Okay, come on, Derek. People don't want to see your bum. They want to see your beautiful face. See if I can convince him to stay on my lap. So welcome. Sorry, it's a little bit disjointed. I may have to stop and readjust myself in a second. So yeah, this is Derek. He's not going to want to stay. He's going to want to go off and sleep on the sofa in a second. So, yeah. Oh, tooth. Yeah. All right, go on in. I won't keep you anymore. I know you don't want to be here. No, off he goes. Right. Okay, this is really not comfortable. I'm perched right at the front of my seat and Hugo's taken up all the rest of the space behind me. But anyway, I'll do the introduction at least. As I said, my name is Mina and you can find me on Ravelry as Mina86. Got cat fluff stuck to my face now. You can find the podcast group as the Knitting Expat Podcast on Ravelry. You can find show notes for this and all previous episodes at knittingexpat.wordpress.com. You can find me on Instagram as Mina Phillip. I'm on there all the time. I have been really bad lately at trying to get back to people, like responding to comments and stuff on Instagram. Just because there's just so many, which is amazing, and I love hearing from you guys. It's just I try and get back to everybody, and sometimes I don't get around to it. So I'm sorry if I haven't replied to you. It's not that I'm ignoring you or anything. I do read all the comments and I love hearing from you. I'm trying to think, was that it? Oh, and I also sell project bags on Etsy as Mina Makes. There is nothing in the shop at the moment. I am working on bags and I'll talk more about that later. And I'm drinking my coffee this morning. I popped out, there's a little coffee shop near the supermarket where we live called Delilah's. I had to go get some stuff for food in the house. We have no food. So I had to go get some food this morning and grab myself a little treat. I don't know if anyone else does this or not, but whenever I get coffee in a takeaway cup, I always take the lid off before I drink it. Because whenever I have had coffee from a takeaway cup with the lid on, I always burn myself. Always. Like without a doubt, I always burn myself. But if I take the lid off, my logic is I can see the coffee coming. So I don't burn myself. I'm prepared for it. It's not a surprise when it hits my mouth. And anyway, I don't know. Perry finds that logic and that thinking incredibly strange. But I found out that the rest of my family do the same thing, and it's not just me. So I wonder, do any of you guys do that? Am I just the weird one who takes the lid off of my coffee before I drink it? Sorry, Hugo's moving around back there. I'll see if I can get him to come up front. Come on, you sit on my lap. Come on, Hugo. Their claws have grown, so they're like sort of getting stuck on my clothes. Hey, there's Hugo. And if you haven't been able to tell, they're brothers. Derek has the little tooth that sticks out, and Hugo doesn't. They are both Scottish fold cats. See if I can readjust myself now. That gets better. And he's just made himself at home on my lap, which is great. And so what was I saying? So coffee, yes. Does anyone else take the lid off their coffee cups before they drink it? Or am I the only weirdo that does that? I wanted to say massive thank you to everyone again Oh, cat fur in my mouth. Perils of cat ownership. There he is. See if I can adjust the camera so you can see him. Ooh, sorry, you don't want to see my hand. Yeah. Sorry, I am totally not awake yet today and the cats are distracting. Yes, I wanted to say a big thank you to everybody again. I have pulled together something for a 4,000 subscriber giveaway, although we're now way past that mark, which again is so surprising and amazing and awesome. But I'll talk more about that later and show you the prize. Sorry, I keep umming a lot. Just trying to remember things. Yesterday. Sorry, I may have to pause and give myself 5 minutes and then come back again because this is painful. Yesterday was our 1-year anniversary. Yesterday is the anniversary of the day that we officially moved to Bahrain, and now Hugo decides that I need a bath. Yeah? What are you doing? That's not nice. Don't nip me. Yeah. Right, yeah, so yesterday, a year ago yesterday, we moved to Bahrain. The boys flew over on the same day as I did. We dropped them off at with the company, the company who organised the move. They also run like a cattery and like dog kennels and stuff for, okay, he wants to go, for pets when their owners go on holiday and stuff, and they are the actual company that organises, deals with all the pets that come through Dubai airport. So we went to them and we got like effectively what is a door-to-door service. So we dropped them off there and they deal with all the paperwork, they deal with getting the pets, the animals to the airport, deal with the airline, and then they coordinate with someone on the Bahrain side, like their equivalent, but in Bahrain, who then collects them from the airport and brings them to the house. And it was really good. It was the least stressful way. It wasn't the cheapest way of doing it by any stretch. Like we could have done it cheaper by, doing a lot of those steps ourselves. But moving itself was stressful enough. I had just come off crutches, so I couldn't really pick up. There was no way I'd have been able to pick up the crate with the boys in it on my own. We had a custom crate built, like they also do crates and stuff, and so the carry box that we have for them that we take them to the vets in isn't suitable for like international travel. It's not up to code, as it were. It's fine for going to the vets and stuff, but it's not good for like travel. So we'd have had to get new boxes anyway, and they offer a service where they can build you a custom box out of like wood basically, and it cost like the equivalent of $10 extra to have them build a custom side-by-side box rather than buying 2 extra boxes. So we went with that. And what a side-by-side box is, so it's just an extra large box, wooden box, which has like a wire mesh, almost like chicken wire down the middle, that splits the box into 2. So there's effectively 2 boxes in one, so they can be with each other without being in the same space. And originally I'd asked if they could be in the same box, and they were like, well, no, they don't allow that. Airlines don't allow that in case, one of them gets sick, or if they have a fight and one of them gets injured. It can be dangerous because they're together, something can go wrong. Because under stressful situation, it could potentially be a stressful situation, and they can't guarantee how the animals will react. So it's safer if they're separated. But this way they're separated, but they're still together, so they can snuggle up next to each other. And they have each other there for comfort, and that way I also know that they'll never be separated when they were flying. So that was really important for us as well. And now we have that crate and we can use that whenever we move again. And yeah, so that's good. I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but anyway, all that to say, we moved yesterday. A year ago yesterday, we moved in here, and yeah, time sure flies. Yeah. And thank you to everyone who answered last week's questions that I asked about your least and most favourite things to do with knitting. It was interesting to see, obviously, there were some things that came up again and again. That's a lot of people's least favourite things are things like seaming and weaving in ends, which was to be expected. I know a lot of people don't really enjoy doing that. And picking out yarn and dreaming up projects and stuff was one of the favourites, which I can totally relate to. I sit here sometimes and just stare at all the yarn up behind me, and I'm just like, what could that be? What would that be? This could be that, or no, maybe it could be that. And it's just fun to dream it up in your head and see what it will become. There was a couple of podcasts I wanted to talk about this week. I know there are more that I wanted to add to this list, but I was looking on YouTube and for some reason I couldn't find them. And to be quite honest, I haven't started watching that many new podcasts this week. This last couple of weeks, I've kind of been falling behind. I woke up this morning and I updated my watch list. What I do is when all my subscriptions come in, as they come in, I add them to my watch later list in the order that they come, and then I try and watch them in the order that they have shown up. Sometimes if I don't have enough time for a long one, I'll skip forward to one that's a little bit shorter and then come back and whatever. But I have my list that way, and I can that way I don't miss anything. So at the moment I've got 26 on my list today. So I'll be watching a lot of podcasts, I think, today to get through some of those. It seems like every day I get through a bunch and then I wake up the next morning and there's a whole bunch more to add to the list. So it's a constant game of catch up. But I enjoy it, so that's good. So a couple I wanted to talk to you about today, and these are two that you've probably heard about from other podcasters. But the first one is Inside Number 23. That's with Katie. She's from the UK. I'm not sure whereabouts in the UK she's in. I'm going to say southern UK because her accent isn't particularly northern, but I'm not sure if she's around London or outside of London. But she's really adorable. She has a very retro aesthetic, which I really quite like. It's not a sort of aesthetic that I could pull off or I feel particularly comfortable in myself, but I really like how it looks on other people, and she pulls it off. She's got amazing red hair, and her sewing is amazing. It's really gives me something to aspire to for garment sewing. It's not something I've done much of, but something I would like to do more of going forward. And she's got the cutest pug. Her and her partner, they've got the cutest little pug, and he is so adorable. I think his name is Rolly, and he's just so adorable. Pugs are just like, yeah. Perry and I've always said that if we're ever in a position where we can have a dog, we're getting a pug. No question about it. Pugs are our pet of choice, as it were, our dog of choice, I think, be the right way of saying it. We don't think it's fair to have a dog over here. It doesn't really suit our lifestyle at the moment with all the travelling that we do. We feel guilty enough leaving the cats as often as we do, but they're a lot lower maintenance in that respect. Dogs need to be walked every day, and just don't think it's fair. But super jealous of Katie that she has a pug, and I really enjoy whenever he's on the podcast with her. And and her podcast is amazing. It's really fun, and she's really cheerful, and I love her projects. I love her 50 points for Gryffindor idea. I think that's really fun as well. If you haven't heard of that, make sure you go. She's got a whole video about it on her page. And yeah, make sure you go check her out. And the second podcast I want to talk about this week is Stress Knits with Stacey. And Stacey's in the US. She films her podcast from her dorm room, which is so sweet. And she's just a really sweet person. Her personality is really, really adorable, and I just love her projects, love her knitting. She's just all round amazing to listen to and catch up with every week. So make sure you check her out too. Okay, I think I want to take a break here, and I will be back in a second with actual knitting to show you. Right, okay. Sorry about that. I had to just take a moment there to get myself together. Right, so we'll move on to finished objects. And the first one I have to show you, which I'm really excited about, is my new design. And it's not named yet. I've just been calling it the brioche asymmetrical shawl, but I want some... That is not a fun name, and I'm just completely stumped on what to call it. But this is the shawl. I don't know what you can see. This is the right side. Well, what is the right side according to the pattern? Brioche is reversible. So this is where the neutral solid tonal colour is showing up mostly, and then what is technically the wrong side is where the contrast colour shows up mostly. I love how this has turned out. And I have blocked this, but I think I need to reblock it. I think I've overblocked it a little bit, and it's kind of stretched out a little bit too much. But I do really love it. It is warm and squishy, and it's huge. And what I realised, this wasn't 100% intentional, but so whilst this shawl is knit on the bias, it's not asymmetrical in shape. It is a perfect triangle. As you can see there, when you fold it in half, it is perfectly equal on both sides of the point. So this version is a true triangle. It's a true triangular shape, and it's not. I say true triangular shape. It's not an asymmetrical shape. And what I've done is I've created two versions of the pattern. So the pattern, when it's released, will have both versions included. So the original version will be for this shape shawl, which is, like I said, is a true triangle, which is also why I don't like the asymmetrical a brioche shawl name, because it's not a true asymmetrical shawl. And then the second version, which I'm currently working on and I'll show you later, is more asymmetrical in its shape. So you know what an asymmetrical shawl looks like, where it's you've got the long edge at the top, then you have one longer edge down one side, and then the other side of the triangle is slightly shorter, so the point is slightly off center, and it's not as deep either. So something like a hitchhiker shawl is a true asymmetrical shawl sort of shape. It's more scarf-like, whereas this is very much a proper triangle, like a equal triangle shape. Did any of that make sense? I hope it did. So the yarn that I use for this, the main colour, so this cream colour is, and I have a little bit of it left over, if I can, there it is. I have this much left over, and this is Pearl Soho line weight in the heirloom white colour. This is a light fingering, single ply, 100% merino yarn. It was 494 yards in 100 grams. And then the contrast colour is Sparkle Duck in the Solo base, and that's 100% superwash merino, and this is in the stained glass colourway. And I got this last year at I Knit Fandango, and I knew when I bought it that this was going to become a shawl of some kind, and I had no idea at the time what it was going to be or what I knew I was going to pair it with a neutral to do a shawl. And I actually dreamt up the idea for this shawl pattern last October. It was when I was knitting the exploration station. I came up with the idea. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but yeah, and I really love how this has turned out, and I love wearing it like this. So you've got the contrast, then what is in the pattern is the right side, with the main colour is the neutral showing, and then I turn the tails over so you see the wrong side, or with the contrast colour on top as the main colour, so you get both sides of the shawl showing. You can also tuck the ends under if you don't want it, and this would be a really good way to wear it under like a jacket, so this will be all nice and squished up around your neck with like a jacket closed around it. And yeah, it's super soft, super squishy, and my testers have all started on there. Some of them are about halfway through already, which is amazing. I'm really loving how it's turning out, and I've had some really good feedback so far. Everyone who has started it and who's been working on it seems to have been able to figure it out from the pattern. And I also, for the testers, I've sent some links to online tutorials for brioche and two-colour brioche videos and like websites and stuff. And what I am hoping to do, I really want to do this, I really want to put together a video tutorial that goes with the pattern. So when you purchase the pattern, you also get a link to the video tutorial just for like the setup, how to do two-colour brioche, the increase and decrease stitches and that sort of stuff. Just a little bit of like a technique video, as it were, because I wasn't 100% happy with what I did find on YouTube. I would really like to do that if I can before the pattern is released. Otherwise, I will include the links that I sent to my testers in the pattern. If I can, I will do my own video. we will see how that works out, but it is something I would like to do. But as I said, I dreamt up the idea for this pattern sort of October last year, and I'd had this yarn wound since like the end of October last year to work on it, and I know it's really bad to leave yarn wound caked for so long, but it worked out fine. And the reason why I didn't show you any leftovers of the sparkle duck is because there was such a small amount left over. I just had enough to stick in my knitting journal. That was it. There was nothing left of it. I used all of it, and that one had 366 meters, so about 400 yards to 100 grams. And in the pattern, I write, I've recommended that your shortest of your two skeins that you choose to knit the shawl out of should be at least 400 meters, which is about 420 yards, only because I do feel like I would have liked maybe a couple more repeats in this shawl, because I do feel like I overblocked it a little bit. It's a really good size. It is pretty much my wingspan, which is kind of like the size I like for my shawls, but I feel like it would have been slightly shorter if I hadn't blocked it as hard as I did, which is fine. And I think you'd be fine with 400 yards if you were doing the more asymmetrical version, because it's slightly narrower, so your yarn will go longer. The shawl will go longer, and I'll talk more about that when I show you the one I'm doing. But yeah, anyway, I say 400 meters just to be safe. So there is that buffer, because not everyone's going to have the same gauge as me. And I don't have a gauge actually listed for this shawl because frankly, it doesn't really matter all that much. I knit this one on a 3.5mm. I'm knitting my next one on a 3.75mm, and that is the size I recommend in the pattern. Brioche in general is quite a loose, your gauge on brioche is generally quite loose anyway, just because of the nature of the stitch pattern. So my advice is always, as long as you like the way it looks and you like the density of the fabric that you're getting, then that's fine. If you are naturally a loose knitter and you feel like you always size down on patterns, then you might want to size down 1 or 2 needle sizes and just try out a little bit and see how it goes. And likewise, if you're a naturally tight knitter and you always have to size up on patterns, then go up a needle size or 2 and see how you like it. And it's really all a matter of preference. This shawl can pretty much be knit on any weight. You just adjust your needle size to compensate for the thickness of yarn that you're knitting with. I don't have any instructions on how much yardage you need for different sizes because I haven't tested that out, but there is no reason why you couldn't do it with different gauges of yarn. So yeah, like I said, I was inspired for this shawl idea sort of late last year, and I went on Ravelry and I looked around at brioche shawls just to see what's already out there. Because obviously quite a lot of Stephen West patterns came up, and a few other designers. There are quite a few brioche patterns out, but I was surprised by how few shawls there were that incorporated actual brioche. Because if you look on Ravelry in the advanced search section, brioche and tuck stitch come under like the same sort of subcategory of features or characteristics of fabric that you can look at. And so a lot of the patterns that came up didn't even have actual brioche in it. It was some other sort of tuck stitch that mimics brioche. And there wasn't, because this to me, this shawl, and it is truly, if you look at the pattern, you'll know, it is a very simple concept. It's, you take the asymmetrical shawl or the bias shawl design and you make it with brioche effectively. So I was so surprised that there wasn't a pattern already out for something like this, but there isn't. I looked, and I did look at some of there was one that looked very similar, but when I looked at it and I realized it's not the same. It's not designed the same way, and it doesn't look the same at all. So yeah, I was quite surprised that there wasn't one already out for this. So that's how I came up with it. I have no idea what to call it. That is actually my question for you guys this week. What is your, do you have any suggestions for a name for this one? I'd love to hear your thoughts. It's, and I'm actually going to run sort of like a semi-contest type thing. So if you give me a name suggestion and I choose one of the names that you've suggested, then whose ever name pattern name choice suggestion that I pick will win a free copy of the pattern once it's released. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your suggestions, and I think I've waffled on enough about this one, but I think I'll just keep it on for now. My second finished object to show you this week, and it wasn't originally supposed to be a finished object this week, is my Scrappy socks. I'm going to do a bit of a Sue and Chelsea and have like dancing socks across the screen. It's not as fun when it's just me doing it, but it was quite fun to see them do it on their podcast. Sue and Chelsea do the Legacy Knits podcast, and I talked about them a couple of weeks ago, and they are so much fun, and they're actually both test knitting this pattern for me, so if you haven't checked out their podcast, you should, and I really love their colour choices for their versions, and I can't wait to see it knit up. But they've also been knitting Franken's socks, or Scrappy socks, or whatever you want to call these, and these are my Scraptastic January Sockathon Scrappy socks. Bit of a mouthful, but this has yarn from every single pair of socks that I knit in January in it. And I'm not going to sit here and run through every single yarn that's in here, but what I will say is that everything from the heel down on both socks is Patterns Croy. So I actually left all the Patterns Croy yarn to be knit in at the very bottom, because these are socks, and the Patterns Croy I've heard so much about as being super durable. So I figure for the foot of the sock, it'll be all Patterns Croy. It's all similar sort of thickness, and I know it wears well from what people have told me. So it's less likely to wear through quickly. And then all the other yarns, and then most of the yarn sort of in this section on this one, and this section, so the bottom half of the legs is all knit picks and other commercial yarn that I used, and then the top sort of 5-6 rows on each leg is indie dyed yarn that I used. It's mostly indie dyed, hand dyed yarn. So because also people are more likely to see the tops of my socks than the bottom sides, because the bottoms are mostly going to be my shoes. When I wear my socks, I tend to wear them over leggings or other sort of like trousers and stuff, where I pull my socks over the trousers or over the leggings, so people always see the legs of my socks as well. But yeah, and I really love how these turned out. I started these on the 5th of February, and when I started, I think I did 3 or 4 of the stripes in one sitting, and each stripe is 10 rows. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry about that. So I did like 3 or 4 of the stripes on the first day when I started, and then from then onwards I did 1 stripe a day. And I sort of limited myself to that, and I didn't knit more than 1 stripe a day on these socks. And that was the whole point, was to take it slowly and enjoy the process. And after having knit 1 pair a day for a whole month, I was like, no, I'm ready to take it slowly now and enjoy it. And then I got to the heel, I did the heel. And then with the heel colour, I also did a few stripes on the actual foot of the sock as well. So a few rounds. And then I looked at it and I was like, okay, no, I'm sick of this now. I just want to get it done. I don't enjoy it doing it slowly. I've realised I don't enjoy taking 2 weeks to knit a pair of socks. It just doesn't, I get bored of it. I'm not bored, but I'm like, I can't believe I'm still knitting on these socks sort of thing. It feels very strange for me to be spending so long on 1 pair of socks. So I basically did the feet from basically here down in a day. Well, not even a day, like an afternoon. So finished them off quickly, because I was getting to that point where it was... I see why people end up like doing that. They put stuff aside after a couple of, after they've been knitting on it for a while, and it gets to a point where they're like bored of the project now because they've been knitting on it for so long, and they put it aside and then come back to it months later. I totally get how that happens, because I could totally see that happening to me. If a project's taking me too long, I start to get bored of it, and that's why I knit my projects quickly. Not because I want to rush through it, but I want to knit it while I'm enjoying it, and then I don't want to get to that point where I get bored of my project. So I realised I was getting to that point with these and I don't want that to happen, so I just knit through the feet and was done with it. And then I had 72 ends to weave in, so that was fun. The only thing I kind of wish I'd done slightly differently was, you can see here I did, this is Patterns Croy in the coal and this is Patterns Croy flax. So I did the heels in these colours and then I switched them round for the toes. So the coal on this one and flax on this one. But I kind of wish I'd done them the other way around now, because the last colour here, which is Patterns Croy FX in camo, is really close to the flax colour, so you can barely see, I mean you can see the difference in person, but it's quite close, the colours. So I kind of wish, but I wanted to have the opposite heel, opposite toe on the other sock, so I just kind of wish I'd done these the other way around, so then this would have been black and this would have been the flax. It's not a massive deal, I mean it's the foot, it's going to be in a shoe or wherever, but yeah, that was the only thing I wish I'd done slightly differently. Well, a couple of people had asked for me to show the inside, to show where the ends had been woven in. So I'm going to turn one sock inside out to show you. I'm not the best at weaving in ends. I'm more concerned about, as long as it doesn't show on the outside, because no one's going to see the inside of my sock. As long as it doesn't show on the outside and the ends are snugly woven in and it's not going to come loose. So this is this bit where the ends have been woven in. So some you can see more than others. So you can see some of the ends have been woven in there. And I weave them in, like I go up and down quite a lot on my ends. So I weave them in nice and tightly, nice and snugly, I should say. It doesn't look too bad. So that's how my ends look on the inside of my sock. And the only thing I did differently with these, because I knew they were going to be quite long, so these were knit on 2.5mm US 1.5s. I started with 68 stitches at the top, did a 2x2 rib, and then I did it for a couple of stripes, and then I decreased down to 64, did a few more stripes, and I decreased down to 56, which is my usual stitch count on 2.5mm. Then I did the heel and the foot, the rest of the foot on 56 stitches. Now the thing is, I was trying out, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about starting to try out developing my own sort of slip stitch short row heel pattern, and I was trying out an idea on this one, and I'm not 100% happy with how it worked up. I mean, it fits fine and it's okay, I just feel like I don't feel like it's the most straightforward version of doing it. I think it could be simpler, and it wasn't my, I kind of found it a little bit fiddly, let's put it that way. But I also realised that there's, that makes, the way I did it makes it quite tight across the instep. It's not unwearable, it is fine, and it will be okay. After a couple of wears, it will loosen up. But I kind of want to adjust the method a little bit on that one. And again, because I didn't know how long the leg was going to end up, I wasn't sure. I mean, you could see the difference in size from up here to down here, where it slightly decreased. It's a little bit loose at the top because I wasn't sure how high up my leg it was going to go, so I wasn't sure how much stretch I'd need at the top, and it's just ever so slightly a little bit too loose at the top. I kind of wish I'd just started on 64 stitches and it would have been fine. But all in all, I'm super happy with these. These are going to forever remind me of my January sockathon with Marsha, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. And the reason why I chose to do these, and I may have mentioned it, is because most of my sockathon socks, so most of the socks I've knit from this last month, is going to be gift socks. So I'm not keeping them for myself, and because of that, I wanted a little record of all the socks that I'd knit in a pair of socks for myself. And yeah, I'm super happy with these, and yeah, so much fun. And one trick that I do, I had a few people, I posted a picture of like all the ends before I wove them in, and some people were like, oh, that's like so much and all that. But something I do, and I've done this always with all my knitting, almost all my knitting, and especially with socks, is as soon as I finish a project, I weave in the ends. Like when I'm kitchening the toe, I just poke the needle in and I weave in the end, and then I weave in the end at the top if I haven't already woven it in. A lot of the times after I've done the heel, especially if it's plain vanilla, after I've done the heel, I'll go back and I weave in the end at the top before I continue with the foot. If it's a pattern sock, I'll do a bit of the pattern, because I always just pattern on the front, I never pattern on the back. I do a bit of the pattern and then I go back and weave in the end because it's easy to see the front and back that way. So usually when I finish a sock, I only have the end of the toe to do. And if I've done a contrast heel, I always go back and I weave in my ends before I even block the socks. Before I put the socks down and call them finished, I've woven in the ends. Otherwise, I'll never do it. And yes, it did take me more than 2 hours to weave in the ends on these socks, but that's what Netflix is for. So, super happy with these, super happy with this. It's been a very good finished object week for me because I'm so chuffed with these. And yeah, I will be back in a second. Just need to take a quick break. Right, okay. Back with whips. So first whip I'm going to show you isn't actually in a project bag at the moment, but I will need to dig out a project bag for it soon. Is my second version of my brioche shawl, which needs a name, so please help me with that, by the way. And this is how it's currently knitting up. So this will be the top edge, and you can see this is a much more asymmetrical shape. When I fold it in half, you see it doesn't fold in half exactly, which is what an asymmetrical triangular shawl looks like. It's when you fold it in half exactly, it doesn't fold in half properly. So if I fold it in half on the point, you'll see at this end, it doesn't line up. So this one, my main colour, which is this grey, I've got the tags here, one second, let me grab them, is Cascade Heritage sock yarn in 5602. I think this colour is called Steel online or something along those lines. It's a grey with a blue undertone. It's definitely got a cooler sort of bluish purple undertone to it. And then the contrast colour I'm using on this one, I'm actually going to use a variety of contrast colours for this one. I think this shawl is great for using up scraps of leftover sock yarn or fingering weight yarn. And so the second version is going to give you an idea of something that you can do with your scraps. So the colours I am using, you may recognise these, are these three colours. So this is Lolita. They're all Mad Tosh Light, Tosh Merino Light, 100% Superwash Merino single ply. This one is Lolita. This is Candlewick. And this is Baroque Vintage. And this will be the order that they are used. I'm currently on the Lolita. And if you recognise these, it's because I use these three colours in my exploration station, and you've seen how much yarn I've got left over. I actually had another leftover ball of the Candlewick that I used, so this is a larger leftover than I would have had if I was just using one ball. So I had 60 something grams of these two colours left, and I would have had I've got a little bit more than that, but of this one, but I used less than 50 grams of each of these for my exploration station, so you have quite a sizable amount of leftovers after knitting that shawl, I found. So something like this is a great way to use up those leftovers, so they're not just sitting around doing nothing. So you just take one skein. This is 400 meters in 100 grams. Yeah, so one 400 meter skein of a neutral to pair with a bunch of leftovers from another project. And I'm gonna knit these up, sort of colour block these three colours, but then in the transition I'm gonna do a sort of striping thing. I haven't 100% figured that out yet, but I'm gonna figure it out as I go. So I think this is a great project to use up scraps as well, and I'm hoping the second version is gonna demonstrate that a little bit as well. So I'm looking forward to that and how that is gonna work up. Yeah. And I'm enjoying that. This version, like I mentioned before, I'm knitting on 3.75mm needles, and I'm knitting these on my high sharps. Sorry for that clanging, it's the stitch marker. And yeah, this is how it's currently knitting up. As you can see, it's super stretchy. Yeah, I'm only a few repeats in. I think like 13 or so 14 repeats in. But yeah, I haven't been working on this one all too much at the moment. Just been focusing on other things. This week has not been a great knitting week for me. I say that, I've got 2 finished objects and quite a bit of work on my other projects going, but in general, I don't feel like it's been an amazing knitting week for me. I've been focusing on other things and just not been feeling 100%. But anyway, looking forward to working on that one some more. I need to find a project bag for it. Not find, just need to put it in one. I have plenty. that in there. Yeah, okay. And the other project I've been working on is in one of my Mina Makes bags. Just little kitty cats. I love this guy. This one reminds me of Derek. He's so sweet. But yeah, this is the hedgehog fibre socks that I'm knitting up for my brother. So I am just past the heel. I've thrown in my Fish Lips Kiss heels. I was going to practice one of my, like another version of my slip stitch heel that I wanted to do, but I've done the slip stitches on the back of the sock, just before I do the heel. So this is the bit that will be behind the ankle in the shoes. So this kind of replaces the heel flap, I guess. But then I realised I didn't want to try out a new heel on a pair of socks for my brother that's going to be a gift that I don't know how it's going to fit him. So I just went with a regular Fish Lips Kiss heel. And also because I didn't have the brain power at the time to try and figure out what I wanted to do differently than the other pair of socks that I did. And I just wanted to be past the heel at this point. I'm kind of, again, been knitting on these socks for over 2 weeks now, and I'm getting to that point where I'm about to lose my patience with it. I don't think it's been over 2 weeks. Sorry, it's been about 10 to 12 days. I am ready to be finished with these socks. Let's put it that way. I don't want to get sick of them. I didn't even tell you. This is Hedgehog Fibres. I don't know if I said that or not. It's Hedgehog Fibres sock yarn in the Vengeance colourway. I picked this colour for my brother because I mentioned it before. He really liked the way it looked in the skein when I showed it to him. I ordered them online and they arrived at my parents' house while I was there when was it? When was this? Was it September? No. When did I order that now? I can't remember. Can't remember. Sometime last year. Maybe it was October or... Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is, he liked the yarn, so that's what he's getting. My next work in progress is in my lovely New York print drawstring bag that was sent to me by a lovely viewer. Really like this bag. It's super massive and roomy. I think what this bag is going to be from now on is the project bag that holds all my project bags when I go travelling. So this is going to be my travel knitting bag, which holds all my knitting projects. This project is my hoodie shawl cardigan by, I just want to get the name right, by Suzanne Summer. That's what it looks like in the pattern. And I'm knitting this on 4mm high sharps. As you'll see, my needles are here. I'll show you why in a second. I finished the first 2 sections, I believe. I finished section 1 and section 2. This is where I am. The yarn I am using, I will show you, I'm using Madeline Tosh sock in Blackcurrant. I'm using the Verdant Griffin Little Traveller, which is their light fingering, in Downcast Donkey. And I'm using Wool and Vine yarns on the Strasser base. This is her Enjoy the Silence colourway, Kristen's yarn. And so I'll show you if I can untangle this mess. There we go. This is where I am, kind of. Untangle that. So you can see this is what the top of the cardigan, got the sides, and this is what the back looks like. So you can see the shawl shaping there. That's the rest of the body. Down there, it's all curling up at the moment at the bottom because it's all stockinette. And what you can't see in the pattern photos is this detail, this sort of like diagonal lines detail along the back that mimics the shawl shaping, which I think is really fun, and it actually makes the really long section of stockinette down the back interesting to knit. And I love this yarn. I love how speckled it is. I love how it hasn't pooled. It hasn't done any of that sort of stuff that people are always worried about with crazy variegated yarns. I only had the one skein, so I didn't alternate skeins or anything. I didn't even alternate from either end of the skein. I just went with it. I was like, it will do what it does. There's like random like splodges of colour like in certain places. Like there's a little bit more purple here, a little bit more like green here, but it's not at all pooly or, I haven't ended up with like a massive flash of purple going in one place. It's very nicely distributed, the colour, and I love how this has turned out. There's short rows to fill in the gap here on either side of the V, where I was also a little bit concerned that there might be some pooling. It hasn't happened at all. I love Kristen's yarn, and the way she dyes her yarn obviously minimises that sort of pooling effect. So this is where I am. And if you remember when I first talked about this this cardigan, I mentioned that I didn't have enough yarn to knit my size in the needle size it called for, and at the gauge it called for. So what I did was I messed around with it a little bit, in that I completely changed the gauge and therefore knit a different size. So rather than knitting my size, I'm knitting, so my size would be the 38-inch bust. My upper bust measurement is about 37 and a half ish. So I always do the 38. Plus the sample in the pictures is shown in a size 38 on the, and the model has the same chest circumference as me. So that's kind of what I was going for. But like I said, I didn't have enough yarn to knit my size. So what I did was, the gauge it calls for is 6 stitches per inch. I went down to 5.25 stitches per inch is the gauge I got on 4mm needles versus the gauge it calls for in the pattern. Did a little bit of maths and figured out that if I knit the smaller size, which is the 34-inch in the pattern, I would get a 38.5-inch finished cardigan. And it's an open front cardigan, so it doesn't matter if it's a little bit bigger or not. It's no big deal. And I tried this on last night, and it fits pretty well, to be honest, pre-blocking. And by doing that, it means I have enough of colour A and colour B. Yeah, I have enough of these two colours, but I was still short by about 30 yards of this colour. So I think with the difference in gauge, and obviously the difference in gauge affects the row gauge as well, I just about got the right length on the back when I ran out of yarn. And I mean, this is literally all that's left of the Wollonvine yarn. I don't have enough to do another row. So I've used up every last bit of it. It's kind of sad really, because I was hoping to be able to keep a few grams to put into my blanket, but I don't have enough. But it was more important for me to have a cardigan that fits. So, and what I'm going to do, because the next section, not the next section, but the section after the next section, it's an interesting way that it's constructed. So you do this back triangular bit first and separate for the sleeves. Then you do this back section, which is the speckled section on here. Then you go back and you knit the hood. And then you come back and you do this contrasting hem at the bottom. And then you go and you do the border, the edging, and then you do the sleeves last. So what I'm going to do is obviously do the hood next, and then I will probably be knitting this border section a little bit longer, because I tried it on, and the only thing that I regret with my Marco Polo cardigan is I wish I'd made it a bit longer. I mean, I couldn't have because I didn't have enough yarn, but I wish I had made it a little bit longer in the back. I feel like it's a little bit short when I wear it with trousers. It's fine with dresses and stuff, but with trousers it feels a little bit short, and my back ends up being exposed a little bit. And because I'm quite a tall person, so I have a long torso and long legs. So yeah, I think I will probably doing a few more, maybe add an extra inch to the length with the grey, a bit longer than the pattern calls for, because I now have more than enough of this yarn. And I have more than enough of the Madeleine Tosh yarn. So I think what I'm going to do, rather than 3/4 length sleeves, is I will do full length sleeves for my version as well. So those are some of the changes, and explain some of that. And I am hoping that by next week I will have the hood and the bottom section done, and hopefully be on to the border edging. Because I would really like to have this finished before I go to London, because this would be really fun to be able to wear to the Curious Handmade retreat that I'm going to, and I'll be talking more about that later as well. So that's where I'm at. I've talked before about not liking putting my stitches on waste yarn when I'm putting them on hold, just because it takes so long to pick them up again. I just put them on smaller needles. So these are 2mm addies, which I don't use for socks or anything anymore because I don't like this size. And I just string them on here, because then I can just knit off the first row when I pick it up again, and it's quicker, so much quicker than putting it on scrap yarn. So that's my third work in progress, and I have a fourth work in progress which I haven't even added to my notes because I only started it last night, and that is in a new project bag, my kitty cat project bag. So this is, I think of it as my Derek project bag, because the little black cats remind me of Derek. He's so cute. Look at that, he sleeps like that all the time, so cute. And this has the metallic sort of green gold lining, which looks like that, which I really like, and I don't have any more of this, so the bags that have this now are the only bags that are going to have it. So I started a new project last night. I don't have a pattern printed off because it's the Simple House Slippers by Temple of Knit. It's a free pattern that you can get online. You can get it through Ravelry, or if you just type in Simple House Slippers on Google, the website comes up. It's on her blog, Temple of Knit. So this is where I'm at. It's the first slipper. I haven't seen the back yet, but I will be doing that. I started this quite late yesterday. We were out last night, and I'll explain a bit about that later. But I started this maybe about half an hour or so before Perry got home from work, and I knit about this much. And then after we got back in the evening, about like 10 o'clock-ish, we went to go to bed, and Perry wanted to watch some stuff on his iPad, like on YouTube or something, and so he said, well, you can bring your knitting to bed, and I don't usually take my knitting to bed, so I did. I kind of like, I have a no knitting upstairs rule sort of thing, so I keep my knitting downstairs, and when we go up to bed, we're going to bed, and that's it, no knitting. I try to maintain some sort of boundary. I actually managed to do that during the whole soccer-thon. I never took any knitting upstairs. Knitting stayed downstairs. I didn't go to bed. So I did. I took this to bed, and Hugo was so bamboozled by it. He was just like, what are you doing? And he was just sat there staring, and he just kept batting at the yarn and at the cable. He kept trying to like eat the tail. It was so funny because he was just I don't knit in bed, so he's just like, what are you doing, woman? And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have probably seen the picture from last night that I put up, and he's just like, what is this? So I got this far. I finished the cuff, which is in garter stitch, and I did 2 rows extra because I tried it on Perry's foot, so I put it around his foot, and it kind of felt like it needed a little bit extra. I probably could have done a bit more because it feels like it might be a bit tight, but you know, this stretches quite a bit, and I don't want it to end up being too loose. I can always stretch it out with blocking if I needed to. I need to seam up the back. I left quite a long tail to seam it up, and I'm on the foot section, and I'm knitting this with 2 yarns held together, so it's going to be quite dense. I have some Cascade 220 left over from that ponchette that I knit for my mum's colleague at work, and I am using some Drops Big Merino left over, which I knit the sweater for my dad that didn't fit him. Oh, it did, but it was a bit tight. And I also knit Perry a hat and a handbrake cowl out of this yarn, so I have quite a bit of this left over. So I'm using these 2 together. They're both worsted weight, although the Cascade is more of a DK. I'm doing these 2 held together on a 4.5mm needle. These are Knit Pro Dreams, 4.5mm interchangeable tips. I don't have an interchangeable set, but I have an interchangeable set of the Knit Pro Symphonies, which is the rainbow coloured ones, but my 4.5mm tips, one of them doesn't screw in properly anymore, like the thread is worn down or something, so it doesn't stay on, it keeps loosening. So I got a replacement set of tips, but in the Dreams. So this is quite a dense fabric because it's effectively worsted weight, held double knit on worsted weight needles. So this gives a very sort of thick, dense fabric, which I wanted for his slippers. I didn't want them to be too loose and gauge. I'm liking how these are turning out. I'm hoping to get down to where I think the toes should start, and then I'm going to put them aside, wait for them to get home, try them on, and make sure I get the length right. And I'm keeping notes on what I've done with this one so I can replicate it with the second. I was jokingly calling these his Deadpool socks, because the new film Deadpool is out now, or is coming out now, and he really wants to go and see it. I'm not sure. I don't think they're showing it over here. I'm not sure if it's coming out in the cinemas here or not. It is being shown in Dubai, so it shouldn't be a censorship issue. It's really funny. There are some films that just don't come out over here. Like, we see the trailers and stuff, and we're just like, yeah, they're not going to show that here. So we weren't sure about Deadpool, but he was saying he was looking online and it doesn't look like any of the cinemas in Bahrain are showing it. But like I said, they're showing it in Dubai, so we'll see. But yeah, so these are going to be his Deadpool slippers. And I have enough of the Drops Big Merino, I think, to do a pair of socks for me as well. And I'm probably going to do one. I've got this Icelandic cam garn left over from my Marco Polo, so I'll do one foot with the blue held double with it and one with the purple held double with it. Just using up some scraps again as well. I'll probably do that for me. And then when I'm in the UK, I'm going to see if I can get some puffy paint or something to stick on the bottom to add some grip to it. And then, yeah, and if he still wants me to make him felted slippers, I will get yarn and do that for him too at some point. It's the first time he's really ever asked me to knit anything for him, so I'm like all over it. Sorry, something stuck there. Yeah, and that pretty much covers me for works in progress. I am going to be back in a second. All right, I'm back now with giveaways and knit along news. It's going to be quite a big section this week. So, as you guys know, we have the sweater cal going on at the moment, and I'm so excited to finally have a cardigan on the needle so I can enter that myself. Then we have the shawl cal going on as well, so if you're knitting a shawl, make sure you come on over to the group and join in on that one. If you knit one of my patterns, you get to enter it twice. If you are test knitting a pattern for me, you can also enter that test knit as well. And again, you can enter it twice when it's finished because it's one of my patterns. And yeah, so we have a bunch of prizes for that, which I showed you last week. I think it was last week. But there was another prize I wanted to add to that list because it's not a prize that I'm getting, but it's a prize you guys get to pick. And we've been donated a lovely skein by Eternity Ranch Knits Etsy shop. And I will link the Etsy shop in the show notes. And the winner of that prize gets to pick a skein from the shop, and they will send that to you directly. So thank you so much for that prize donation. And yeah, I will, like I said, I will put a link to the Etsy shop in the show notes, and you can go check it out. And yeah, so make sure you enter because that is another prize coming along. We have the Expat Yarn Swap, which is going on at the moment. Sign-ups are still open until Saturday, 20th of February. What I will do is I will close the thread I will stop sign-ups on the 21st, in the morning of the 21st when I wake up, which should pretty much cover most time zones. I will post another sort of reminder on Instagram later this week, probably tomorrow or on Friday, just as a little reminder for anyone who wants to sign up and hasn't signed up yet to do that. We have now got over 240 people signed up for this swap, which is insane. I think for the most part I have enough equal numbers partners. The way it looks like at the moment is anyone who's not in the US will be swapping with someone who's in the US, for those who've picked international swaps, because we almost have 50% of the people who have indicated that they are willing to do international swaps. Roughly half are from the US and the other half are from everywhere else. So I think that's how it's going to work out, to make sure everyone who wants or can do an international swap can get that opportunity. And the people who have requested not to do an international, to do domestic only, most of those are US as well. So it seems to be working out okay. We have over 20 countries involved and over 240 people, which is crazy, and I'm so excited for this. It's going to probably take me all of Monday or Sunday, whatever day is the day after it closes, to sit down and go through it all and assign partners and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm sorry if you can hear some background noise. It seems like the kids are on half-term break this week or something, because they're riding their bikes up and down right in front of my craft room window here. So I'm sorry if you can hear that. They can be quite loud, and the houses here do not have great soundproofing in the windows. They're all like single glazed, so you can hear a lot. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Sweater Cal for the first 3 months of the year is being co-hosted between myself and Nessa of the Kilter Craft podcast, and she's just got a new episode up this week, so make sure you go and check her out. Her podcast is lovely. She's such a sweet person. So yeah, and I always love catching up with her when she posts an episode. So make sure you check her out too, and you join and double dip in her group as well. Yeah. Oh, and regarding cows and stuff, I do need to update the cows thread in the group. There are a bunch of new cows that have started that I need to add to the list. I just haven't had time to sit down and go through all the groups I'm a member of to add them to the list. If you are hosting a cow and it's not on the list, please leave a comment in the group, because that way it makes it easier for Amber, who's helping me moderate that thread, to update it. Otherwise, I need to go through my groups and add to the list. So yeah, I'm sorry that's taking me some time, but I will hopefully get around to that soon. And yeah. Now, for the 4,000 subscriber giveaway, I have put together a little prize package. Well, quite a big prize package, I think. It's quite sizable for you guys. I'm not entirely sure what the prompt is going to be yet. I will try and think of that while I show you the prizes. So, the first prize is going to be one of my medium-sized kitty project bags, like a Derek project bag with the metallic sort of green gold lining. And that is the same size as the one that I am currently using for my Simple House slippers. It's really roomy. I mean, I've got the Simple House slippers in here, but you can easily fit a shawl in here, the beginnings of a garment, anything really. This is a really good 2 to 3 skein project bag. A really good all-rounder. This medium size is one of my favourite sizes for project bags to use. And yeah, like I said, sort of green gold lining on the inside. It's nicely interfaced, so it stands up on its own, but it's still perfectly squishable and doesn't get creased too easily. Yeah, so this is the first prize. This is the main part of the prize. Then the second aspect of the prize is this handmade notebook, which was made by a lovely friend of mine, and she sent it to me, and she made this notebook herself. So that will be going with the bag. We have like a tin of mints that I got in London. They're travel mints. These mints are really nice, and then the tin is really nice to use for notions and stitch markers and stuff, and a lot of fun. Then we'll have a skein of Cascade Heritage silk in this lovely green colour, and it's colour number 5608 if you are interested, but I really love this colourway. It's really lovely sort of green. It's got a beautiful sheen to it, and sort of combines my favourite colours of purple and green together. I'll put this down. Then I also have this little trinket box, which I'm going to include. It's got a little camel on it. I got this here somewhere locally. I can't remember where I picked it up. I think it was at the market. And it's just a cute little hand-painted box. Good for holding stitch markers and other little trinkety things. Yeah. Ooh, sorry. Little something from Bahrain. And then the second to last thing I have to add is this lovely set from, it was donated to the podcast by the lovely Barbara, who does the Knitting I Love podcast on YouTube. So make sure you check her out. She's really fun and energetic. I believe she is Polish but lives in Ireland. And she does really fun podcasts and also shorter clips where she talks about specific projects she's done. And so this is one of her, she's come up with this idea for needle cozies that are different from the cozies that you've seen, and they are completely different than anything I've seen before. So there's a DPN cozy, and then there's also a circular needle cozy. And she's got a whole video about how they work as well. She's also included some tags for your knitting as well, and I'll show you, she sent me a set as well, so I'll show you that in more detail, and I'll open it up to show you what it is. And there's another little thing in the back. Like I said, I'll show you on my one that she sent for me in a second. But this is her Flower Power in the lavender colour. And I think this is like, she's calling it the big set. Right? So it's got something of everything in here. So this will also be included in the prize package. And finally, the lovely Holly of the Swift Knits podcast, she has just released her new shawl pattern, Chelsea Beach, which is designed for a variety of sizes. And she donated the pattern to the podcast. She's gifted me one, which is amazing. Thank you, Holly. And she's also donated one for the podcast. So I'm going to add that pattern prize in that pattern as part of the prize package, along with all of this for the 4,000 subscriber giveaway. And I am still struggling to come up with a prompt for this one. So there will be a thread set up in the group for this giveaway. And I think the prompt is going to be, what is, let me think how I'm going to phrase this. What is a new knitting technique that you have learnt recently? And by recently, I mean, like, what is the last new knitting technique that you have learnt? Whether it was this month, last year, whatever was the latest knitting technique that you have learnt and are excited about that you've learnt, or something. Like, have you just learnt how to do colour work, or have you learnt brioche for the first time, or have you learnt how to do the fish lips kiss heel, or learnt how to knit socks, or learnt knitting at all? Like, whatever is a new knitting technique to you that you have learnt recently, tell me about it. How have you enjoyed it? Was it good? Was it fun? So that will be the prompt in the thread, and yeah, I think that's a good prompt, right? So there's Hugo. He just jumped up on his own this time. Hey, buddy, wanna come say hi? No. Yeah. So that'll be the prompt. Let me just make a note of that before I forget what it is. Okay. And then I think that's everything for the knit along and giveaway stuff. Let me just move this out of the way. I don't want Hugo to get his fuzz all over it. Yeah. Sorry you can't really see him properly. His face is down here. Look at that little face. I can't get the angle right on the camera. Let me see if I can do that a little bit. I'm going to cut my own head off. Right. The belly. He doesn't like that much. Okay, so next up we have questions and answers. There was only one new question in the thread this week. I have a Q&A or questions and suggestions thread in the podcast group, so if you have a question for me, you can let me know there. The one new question we've had this week is from This Piano Girl. She says, I was wondering if when you design a shawl, you pick a lace pattern you like, or if you make your own lace motif. Now, to answer that question, it's a good question. I do have a few stitch dictionaries. You can sort of see some of them on the shelf there. I haven't really talked about them that much because I always seem to end up having more than enough to talk about on my podcast, that it feels like they're long enough already that I just haven't had time to really talk about them. But I think I will at some point talk about some of my stitch dictionaries that I have and things I like and don't like about them. But for now, I will say I have done both. I have designed shawls where I've completely come up with my own lace pattern. Like my sunrays shawl is a good example of that one. It's the first shawl that I designed, and the lace motif is one that I completely came up with on my own. Some of my other shawls are patterns where I've selected a lace motif from one of my stitch dictionaries, but then I've altered it to fit what I want it to be. So it's not exactly as written in the pattern in the stitch dictionary. I've always made some kind of alteration to how it works or works up, or I've changed a couple of the stitches in it, or I've changed something about it. So it's never exactly as written. Sorry, he's just really cute. So it's never exactly as written, as I said. So I think hopefully that answers your question. And and so my question this week for you guys, like I mentioned earlier, is I'm looking for name suggestions for my brioche shawl design. I am really struggling to come up for a name with this one, and I'm just stuck for ideas, and I want your help on this one. So if I end up going with one of your suggestions, then like I said earlier, you will win a copy of this pattern or I will send you a copy of this pattern as a thank you when it's finally released in March, hopefully. And so some other things I want to share with you this week. like I mentioned, I have upcoming events that I'm going to is the Curious Handmade retreat in March in Cumbria, which I'm so looking forward to. I actually need to book my train ticket for that one, so I probably ought to get on with that. And then I am hopefully going to be in the UK for Fibre East in July, and so that's not 100% certain yet, but I'm hoping that will be on the cards. Sorry, cat fluff is everywhere now. We have been given very graciously a coupon code for the Tangled Skeins CA Etsy shop, which is run by Sue, who is one of the co-hosts of the Two Tangled Skeins podcast, and I will link the shop in the show notes. But the code is expat15, and expat is all in capital letters, expat15, and the expiry date is the 31st of March, so it's good for just over a month now. For I believe that's 15% off any order, or 15% off your order in her shop. She does project bags and stitch markers, so I will link that in the show notes. I am also, another thing I wanted to talk about quickly is I'm fast approaching my 1 year podiversary, which is so exciting. So this time next month, so yeah, it's exactly a month away, 3 weeks away, is my 1 year podiversary, which is so exciting. And I'm going to be putting together a really fun prize package for you guys. Although I'm not entirely sure what will be going into that, because as it happens, for my 1 year podiversary, I'm going to be on the Curious Handmade retreat that week. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with that, what is going to be included in the podiversary prize package. If you want to donate a prize, please get in touch with me. I am more than happy to work with you on that. Otherwise, I'll be putting something together. I probably will be hosting the giveaway towards the end of March once I'm back, because I have a few ideas for things that I might want to pick up while I'm away, and we'll just see how it goes. I'm not 100% certain on whether it's going to be one prize or maybe 2 or 3 prize packages, but we will see nearer the time. I just wanted to put it out there that I am planning something for it, and if you want to donate something for that or any other giveaway, please get in touch and we can figure out something to make that work. Shop news, like I said, shop is still closed at the moment. I am hoping, fingers crossed, to have a shop update early next week. I am in Dubai this weekend, which I have mentioned before, and some of the girls from my knitting group over there, some of the ladies, I should say, from my knitting group over there have expressed an interest in some of my bags, and so they've asked me to take some over. So I'll be taking some bags over with me for the weekend, and then whatever I have left, plus whatever I have finished early next week, I will be putting into a shop update, which I'm hoping will be a decent size update. We will see how that goes. And what I'm thinking of doing is a really short, not even a pod, not even an episode, just a short 5-10 minute video, just to show you guys the bags that are going into the shop next week, because it will probably, I'm not sure. It depends how much time I have next week to do the update, whether I can do it early next week or if it'll end up being towards the end of next week. Just keep an eye out on Instagram. I'll update you there. And if I end up doing an update before I podcast next week, I will probably do a quick video to show you the bags that are going into the shop ahead of time. Otherwise, I will show them to you on the podcast, and then the update will be at the end of the week. So I'm just going to play it by ear and see how it works, to be honest. Right, okay, just going to take a quick break and I'll be back with acquisitions. Okay, so what you can't see is my desk full of stuff. So this week I have been super fortunate in that a lot of mail has come in for me. I had 4 packages arrive in Bahrain this last week, and 1 package that had arrived in the mail for me in the UK that Perry brought back for me. So I'll start with that one. So this is a package that's been waiting for me since like middle of December at my parents' house. I did a swap with Ellie of the FO&I podcast. We did just a straight yarn swap. I had a skein of yarn that I thought she would like, and she had a skein that she thought I would like, so we did a swap. And I need to double check the yardage with her on this one, but I believe this is a lace weight gradient that goes from green to purple, or purple to green, depending which way you do it. So that's really fun, and it's already wound up into a lovely skein, and it's loosely wound, so I'm not too worried about that. cake. And she also sent a couple of minis along with it, which is really fun. So thank you for that, Ellie. Then, sorry, cat fluff is everywhere. He's nicely settled on my lap. You can kind of see that there. See his ears. Then I also got a set, flower power set from Barbara, and she also sent me some tea. But I'll open this up and show you what is in it, because there's also, this is the orange colourway set, and she sent the lavender set for the giveaway. Let me just take this out so I can show you everything. So this is the circular needle holder. And I don't know if I have one close by to show you. I've moved my projects out the way. So what you do is you pop your circular needles in here, and then you can clip this around the cord. And so you can use it on an active project or just to hold your needles if you're traveling and you want to take them with you. But she's made this out of felt. She's done the design and everything herself, and I think it's beautiful. And that's her podcast name down there as well, Knitting I Love. It's really sweet, really cute. Like I said, very unique. I've not seen a needle holder like this before. And then she's also got this one for DPNs, which again I think is quite fun. It's got this here, so this opens up, so you can pop your DPNs in and pop that over, and it keeps them nice and secure. Again, unique and very different to the needle cozies I've seen before. See her flower power design on there, which is really fun. She also included a couple of these really cute felt handmade tags that you can sew into finished garments, which I think are really fun. And she's also included, and I think this is really unique as well, a needle gauge, which is also a coaster. So you can see on there it's got all the different needle sizes, and the sizes are in millimeters. So it goes from a 2mm up to a 4.5mm size needle. I think that's really fun. That is such a cute little set. So the one that's in the prize package is just in the pink lavender colour and has all the same things. It's just instead of the orange, it's in the lavender colour that she has. So that's really fun, and thank you so much, Barbara, for sending me a set as well. And I'm looking forward to trying those out. Move this out of the way. Then another package that arrived in the mail is from the lovely Daisy in Norway. And we're doing a swap, and I have to send her package out soon. But she contacted me after I had asked if anyone was willing to trade handspun for a project bag or just handspun for socks. And she sent me this beautiful skein that she's spun. And it's kind of, she said it was green and black, but it's not actually a true black. It's more of a navy, dark purple and green. I'm not sure how well the colour's going to show up. The green's not quite as fluorescent as that in real life, but it's pretty bright, and I really like it. It's really fun. This will probably be it's a merino nylon, I think it's merino, or a wool nylon blend, and it's thick and thin in spots, which is fine. I love handspun. I love the thick and thin nature of it. She said it's anywhere from a fingering to a DK weight. It's 380 odd meters, so more than enough for me to do a really nice thick pair of socks, not thick, just a nice pair of socks out of this. I'm looking forward to knitting this up soon. She also sent me a really cute pack of sheepy napkins as well, which is really fun. And the yarn, actually, it wasn't in a skein, it was sort of rolled up into this, and I've just skeined it up so it wouldn't get too tangled. But in this cute little mustache Ziploc bag, which I thought was really sweet. So thank you so much, Daisy, and your package will be in the mail soon. Thank you for that. Now, the Spicy Homemaker, who is Melissa, she has the Spicy Homemaker podcast. She was so sweet, and she got in touch a few weeks ago with me and like 100 other podcasters to see if we would be interested in doing a podcast swap. So the idea was to do a Valentine's Day swap between us podcasters, because her logic was, we all organise swaps and we all do different things and organise all this stuff, and it'd be nice to do something amongst ourselves as a swap. So I got partnered up with Regina of the Herbsblatt Regina podcast, and we've been like online friends for a while, I guess. All right, well, that was the first time that happened. I got cut off because my phone ran out of memory, so I had to delete a couple of things. But I was in the middle of saying that Regina and I have been online friends for a while. We've been chatting on Instagram and on Ravelry for a bit. And it was really fun to finally get to be able to do a swap with her. So she sent me some really fun things. She sent me this really beautiful handmade card, Happy Valentine's Day. And she sent me this really adorable little notebook and some tea. There was also some chocolates in her package. They are already all gone and eaten. She sent me these beautiful crocheted hearts that she's made in my favourite colours, purple and green. Clearly she knows me quite well in that respect. She sent me some beautiful mini skeins. There's 6 here, and I believe she said that they are mostly Regia and Opal. Just check. Yeah, I think she said they were mostly Regia and Opal sock yarns. Then she made me this beautiful drawstring project bag. She said these were made out of leftover fabrics from quilts that she's made for herself and her brother. Purple, green and grey, because she knows I like those colours, and it's a lovely sort of purple on the back. There's a really cute little Made with Love Progress Keeper stitch marker on here as well, which I love. I think it's beautiful. So thank you so much, Regina. This is really beautifully made sort of patchwork project bag. And then she also included another project bag from her shop, Herbs Black Creation, either for me to keep or to use as a giveaway prize. And I think it's really hard for me to do this because this is beautiful and it's beautifully made, lovely sort of padded project bag. But I think I'm going to keep this to use for the podcast Podiversary giveaway. So this will be one of the prizes that will be for that giveaway package, I think. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, I'll see what I will add to this. And yeah, keep an eye out for that. So thank you so much, Regina. That was such a sweet package to receive, and I really hope that you enjoyed the stuff that I sent you. So yeah, and I was really surprised because this actually arrived, sorry, I just dropped something. This actually arrived the day before Valentine's Day. I picked it up on Valentine's Day, but I was so surprised because she sent it out on the 8th and it arrived here on the 13th. So that was really quick for international postage. Post has been pretty good so far. People who sent me stuff from Europe, it's arrived in about a week recently, for the most part. So that's pretty good. The last thing I have to show you is quite a big one. So I'm not actually showing you any acquisitions from New York, although I still have some stuff to show you from that this week. I'm not going to show you that this week. So I was contacted by a lovely viewer. I'm not sure if she wants me to mention her name or not, so I'm not going to say it. But she's also one of my testers for my new shawl. She got in touch with me a few weeks ago saying that she had this skein of Trailing Clouds yarn, and I have their Mind the Gap colourway. She has a skein of their yarn in a colour that is not really something that she would want to knit with, and she was wondering if I would be interested in it. I was like, yes, because I love those colours, and I'll show you in a second the skein. So she was like, okay, and I sent her my address, and she was like, oh, do you want some mini skeins as well? I was like, yeah, sure, like you can send me a few. And she's like, okay, I'll send you the yarn and a few mini skeins. So I got a notice in my mailbox that said that there was a package waiting for me and I had to go collect it from the central post office. And usually what that means is I have to go collect it from the central post office and I have to open the package in front of them so they can inspect it, because I don't know why, that's always how it works at the central post office. So I get there and this is the package that was waiting for me. So this is obviously going to be more than just a skein of yarn and a couple of mini skeins. So this is what she sent me. There was also some chocolate in here, but that's already gone. Obviously, I'm surprised that she managed to fit everything in this teeny tiny box as it is. So this was the yarn that she originally messaged me about. So this is Trading Clouds in the Nimbus sock yarn in the Meandering colourway. It's beautiful yellows, orange, green, blues, and a bit of grey in there as well. So this is 75% wool, which is BFL, British Blueface Leicester, and 25% nylon, 425 meters and 100 grams. Beautiful. I love this base. I love BFL for socks, and I love this colourway. Oh, and he goes off. Oh, maybe he's off. Okay. Yeah, just love that colour. And then I saw these 6. And so bear in mind, I had to open this in front of the guy at the post office, and he's just like, what is all this stuff? He had no ideas. And there's a few mini skeins in here. I won't read them all out, but there was a couple I wanted to mention. So this is Rainbow Bright colorway by Mothie and the Squid. This is some Regia, some other sock yarn. This is fondant fiber. There is, that's another German one. Oh, and this is Dark Side of the Moon, which is by Mustache. I really wanted to try some of her yarn, and this is really fun. So, you know, when she said she was going to send me a skein of sock yarn and some mini skeins, this was all I was expecting, you know, like at most was this. No. She sent me like a ridiculous amount of stuff. She sent me these 3, what she called mini cakes. These are all Wool Mice twin. So I'm probably going to use these for heels and toes. Look how fun those colours are. She sent me another skein of yarn. And this is Dibadoo. Have I said that right? Dibadoo. And it's another German indie dyed yarn. I'm not sure this is the colorway, but it says funnies on the back. I think that might be the colorway. It's merino sock yarn, 75% wool, 25% polyamide, 425 meters. It's beautiful rainbow colors in this. I love these colors. Look at that shock of purple and this sort of burgundy red and greens and yellows and my colors. Then she sent me this cake of yarn all wound up, and I wasn't sure what it was. The label is in there. I just haven't tried to take it out yet. But her card says that this is a skein of Wool Mice twin. Let me just find where it was. She said here. The big cake is Wool Mice twin in blue Suzanne. I think that's what it says. Blue Suzanne colorway. It says a little from that. I love this bit in her note that the beautiful card that she sent me. It just kind of made me chuckle. She was like, a little from that skein was already knit, so you only get the other 130 grams because a Wool Mice skein is 150 grams. Like you only get the other 130. She was like, and I hope this is still enough for a pair of socks. 130 grams. This is more than enough for a pair of socks. I could probably get 2 pairs of socks out of this if I wanted to, and way more than I was expecting. So thank you so much. This is so generous, and I love those colours. Fun those are. That wasn't all, because then there was this box inside that box, and when the guy at the post office opened this up, I was like, oh my god, she's just gone absolutely nuts. Yep, this box is full of mini skeins, and I haven't even taken them out to see what they are, but there's like layers of mini skeins in here. So this was layer number 1. So this is 7. These fun colours. There's like a variety of different. There's like some hedgehog fibres in here. There's Countess Ablaze. That was not labelled. There's a variety of like German sock yarns. Some more fondant fibre. Then the next layer. Another 7 minis. Jeez, honestly, she spoiled me. Some Knitting Goddess in there. There's more Knitting Goddess. More Knitting Goddess. There's quite a few of those in there. Some other German sock yarns. And then yet another layer of 7. Honestly. Some. Just trying to read some of these quickly, see if I can recognise them. Some wool barn in there. Latinum Ex Machina, which is from Finland, which I've heard a lot about from Lena, who does the Lena Knits podcast. So I'm really excited to get to try some of that yarn. Some more Regia and 3 Irish girls. So another beautiful set of 7 mini skeins. So that's what? 27 mini skeins that she sent me, plus the 3 mini cakes, so like 30 minis and 3 skeins of yarn. Seriously, that is just way too generous, way too much, and I am just so excited by all of that. So thank you so much. And that is going to be it for the acquisitions for this week, because that was just overwhelming amount of stuff. And yeah, seriously, I am constantly overwhelmed by the generosity of knitters and the knitting community, and just how lovely everyone is, and how supportive and encouraging. And honestly, I remember speaking to a few of the podcasters who I met up with when I was in New York recently about this, I was sort of saying how incredibly encouraging and positive the knitting community is with each other. There's no animosity, there's no jealousy, there's no sort of backstabbing or putting each other down. Everyone's always really encouraging of each other. Like, yarn dyers are encouraging of other yarn dyers, and bag makers, same sort of thing. No one is like, there's no sense of competition in that way. There's enough for everybody, of everything to go around for everybody, sort of thing, which I think is amazing. And something that I feel is lacking in a lot of other sort of creative crafts and other sort of online communities in that sort of way. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that now, but I've had some bad experiences with other sort of like creative communities online where things have been quite negative, and the competition has sort of felt a little bit, it's sort of taken away from the creativity side of it. So yeah, all that to say, I'm completely overwhelmed each and every time someone sends me something so beautiful like this, and it's just, thank you. And I'm so surprised by how much she managed to fit into one of these boxes. And she said in her note as well, she was like, where is it? I kind of had to fill up the package to the allowed weight, didn't I? It would have been a waste otherwise. I just think it was just, thank you so much. It really touched me, and I feel incredibly incredibly grateful for this community and how much I've gotten from it as well. And I just, so thank you. And I'm going to stop there now before I start getting all emotional about it. But I'm going to stop again quickly, and then I'll come back with my week in review. Right, okay. So I've cleared my table a little bit and back with some more knitting. Just knit on my hedgehog fibre socks while I chat with you guys about my week in review. You guys have always had a lot of feedback saying you guys have enjoyed seeing me knit on the podcast. So I'm going to try and keep doing that when I have something that I can knit and chat with you guys about. Right, so week in review. This week has been pretty busy, but a good kind of busy. I've been, like I mentioned earlier, I haven't been knitting as much as I probably have in the past this week. I've been feeling quite overwhelmed with a lot of stuff that I've had to do, or that I feel like I have to do. I've been working on project bags. I have another batch almost ready to be, well, they are pretty much ready now just for their corners and then to be turned and finished. So that's good. And yeah, so I've got my testers working on my new designs. That's great. Like I said, I've been getting a lot of really good feedback on the design and the pattern. And I think I forgot to mention this earlier, but I have 9 people testing this pattern for me. And out of the 9 of them, I believe only 3 have done brioche previously. So it's been really great to get the feedback from the beginners. Most of them so far have said that it's been really easy to understand and that they've found it really easy to get going and not too intimidating. So that's great. I'm so happy to hear that. So that's going great, and I really enjoy that. I'm really enjoying seeing their progress. Like I've mentioned last week and a lot on Instagram this week as well, the boys have been really quite cuddly. They've never been lap cats before, but this last week Hugo has definitely been more willing to sit on my lap for longer periods of time, although he manages to pick his timing. He always wants to sit on my lap right when I'm about to get up to go to the toilet or do something. So, but it's okay. I take what I can get, honestly. I've just been enjoying having them be more cuddly and wanting to sit on my lap more often. And even Derek has been more tolerant of it, which he isn't usually, which is great. And I've been enjoying that a lot. It's been great having Perry back as well. He got back on Sunday and I went and picked him up from the airport in the evening, which was Valentine's Day as well. I actually left a bit earlier and I went to the post office, which is when I picked up most of these packages. And then I had to go to the central post office and pick up the other package with all the mini skeins in it. And I stopped by the fabric market earlier before I got to the airport to pick up some zippers because I was out of zippers basically. And what I do is they sell zippers by the dozen at this place, and it works out really affordable in that way, buying in bulk. And so I just went through and I picked out colours that I wanted, and I didn't count that much really. I sort of counted out some of the ones that I knew that I needed a lot of, but others I just sort of grabbed handfuls, as it were. And then the guy, poor guy, was counting them all. There was like a ridiculous number of zippers. And at the end, I asked him how many there were. He was like, there are exactly 22 dozen zippers that you've picked out. I was like, wow, that was pretty good going. So that's 264 zips to be exact, which was good. I needed it, and I'm probably set for zippers for a while. Yeah, and then a couple of days ago, I don't know what happened. It was Monday morning, I believe. I woke up and my right eye, so this eye, my eyelid was completely swollen, just on top here, and I'm not entirely sure what it was. I did look it up online, and it could, the most common thing is either an infection or an irritation, and I think it was probably just an irritation. Maybe I've just like rubbed my eye and my hand wasn't completely clean or something, or anyway, I just think something got in my eye and it irritated it, because it went down mostly by the end of the day, and then yesterday it's basically completely gone now. Like, there's no swelling anymore. I've refrained from putting any makeup on today and yesterday. I just, to be honest, I don't wear makeup that often anyway. I just don't. I've never been a makeup person. I've tried to get into it, but I'm just not into it at all. I'm so low maintenance, it's ridiculous. But more often, I wear makeup once a week, and that's usually when I film the podcast, and it's pretty much just eyeliner and a bit of lipstick, and that's about it. So I just not put any eyeliner on today, and most of my lipstick is rubbed off. So anyway, so I've just not put any eyeliner on today or yesterday when we went out in the evening, just because I didn't want to irritate it again. I just thought give my eye a few days to get better and be sure. Yeah, so yesterday was the anniversary of our moving to Bahrain. This last weekend is also the 5-year anniversary of the riots in Bahrain, the riots that happened back in 2011, I think it was, for the Arab Spring and all that was going on. That was on the 14th of February, so there's always quite a heavy police presence around that time, around that weekend usually, and there was a lot around here as well. It's just all over Bahrain, just extra security. There wasn't any trouble this year, I don't think, or if there was, it wasn't anywhere near where we are, so I didn't really hear anything. Yeah, so last night I said we went out, and I thought I'd explain that a bit better. One of our neighbours invited everyone in our compound round for dinner, and so we didn't go very far. We literally just walked across the compound to courtyard to one of the other houses. And that was nice. So we live in quite a small compound. There's only 8 villas or 8 homes in our compound, so everyone kind of knows everyone. I'm not particularly close with any of our neighbours. They're not like horrible people or anything. They're perfectly lovely people. It's just Perry and I are the youngest out of all the people who live in our compound, and most of the others who live in the compound have children. Our families with children and stuff, so they have more in common, I guess. There's more reasons for them to interact with each other. The kids play together and things, so it's just, and we've been away so much recently, it's just we've not been around to socialise with them that much. One of our neighbours, one of the villas here, the family who moved in at the end of, they moved in at the end of September. This was the first time we met them. They moved in like 6 months ago, and we've only just met them because we've not been here long enough. We've never been in Bahrain for that long to actually see them. They'd organised like a Halloween party, and they'd organised some sort of Christmas thing. We were just never here when any of the other sort of events, social gatherings that the ladies had organised was going on. We just weren't here. So it was really nice to get to see everyone for dinner last night and catch up with all the neighbours. And it was nice to see we have such a multicultural compound of people. So Perry and I are from the UK. There's our neighbours next door, like directly attached to our villa. They are also from the UK. Then our neighbours across from us, one of them, one family, they are from the UK, but they were from Pakistan, but they grew up in the UK, I believe. And then the people next to them are the ones who moved in September that we only just met last night, and they're from New Zealand, but they were living in the UK prior to moving here, but only for a few years, but they're from New Zealand. Then another family is from South Africa, who's one of our other neighbours, and then the neighbour who hosted us, they're from Bangladesh. And then we had another Then we have 2 other neighbours. One who's apparently a really grumpy, antisocial guy. He's from the UK and he didn't come. And the other neighbour, I don't think he was around, but he's Bahraini. Him and his wife are Bahraini as well. But again, they weren't around last night. So it's quite a multicultural bunch of people in this compound, which is really fun, really nice. And like I said, they're all lovely people. It's just not really been a lot of opportunity for us to catch up with them. And a lot of them have a lot of travel as well. So it's quite hard to sometimes find a date that works for everybody when everyone's around. I was quite lucky last night actually, because we were all invited round at 7:30, and Perry actually got home at 7:20, which rarely ever happens. He usually doesn't get home till like 8:30, so I thought he was going to be a bit late. So it was nice that he got back early enough to come from the very beginning without having to join later. So yeah, it was all good fun. Last night was good. Then it's been quite interesting because I've been thinking forward about the next few weeks for the podcast and filming and stuff like that, because of my trip. And it's funny because I moved my podcast to Wednesdays to make it more convenient for me, because I always seem to travel on Mondays. It just seems that March now means I'm going to have a few weeks in a row where Wednesdays are going to be really inconvenient for me to do a podcast. So I think I may have to go back to Mondays or some other day of the week. I'm not sure. March is going to be a bit of a mishmash sort of month for me podcast wise. We will see how that works out. I'm not entirely sure what's going to work so well, because when I fly to London, I'm going to be flying on a Wednesday, really early morning Wednesday. I actually get to London at like 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. Then the following week, I am away from Monday to Thursday at the Curious Handmade retreat, which is also would be the week of my 52nd episode, so my podiversary episode. And then after I get back on the Thursday, so I guess I should preface this. A couple of weeks ago, my mum FaceTimed me to ask me a question. And she was like, oh, so, when you're in London, we were talking about maybe going away for a weekend. Are you free this weekend? And I was like, yeah, sure, where are we going? She's like, oh, I was thinking of going to Rome. Do you want to come? When do I not want to go to Rome? When do I not want to go anywhere? If someone offers, like, do you want to go on a trip somewhere? I'm always like, yes, of course. So I'm going to Rome in March. So I get back from the Curious Handmade retreat on Thursday. And then on the Friday, we leave for Rome for 4 days. And I get back on the Monday. And then I haven't booked my return ticket to Bahrain yet, but I'll probably end up flying back on either the Tuesday or Wednesday. So again, traveling on a Wednesday. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to do the podcast thing whilst I'm away. I have a few ideas. I will probably do some pre-recording and stuff, and I guess we will see how best it will work out. It will be quite funny if I manage to go all year having filmed an episode once a week without missing a week. I mean, occasionally I've had to shift the days around here and there, but I've never missed a week of recording. It would be funny if I get to my podiversary week, which is the 1 week where I am away like pretty much every day. From one Monday to the following Monday, I'm away with somewhat questionable internet connection. I don't know what my internet connection is going to be like at either of the places I'm going to. And probably with not a lot of time to actually film an episode. So yes, it'll be, I'm not sure if irony is the right word here for this or not, but it would be kind of funny if, / ironic, if I managed to go a whole year with an episode every week and then on my 1 year podiversary week not be able to get an episode out. So I have a couple of ideas for what I might do for my podiversary episode to tide me over, as it were. So we will see. We'll see how it goes. I'm still working it out in my head and figuring out when I might be able to pre-record stuff and put things together and upload things and whatever. But there will definitely be something. We will just have to see how it goes. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I've covered everything. Yeah, I've pretty much covered everything. It was quite funny because my brother was booking the tickets, and he was messaging me and he was like, right, so what name do I put on the ticket? Because it seems now that after the whole New York fiasco with Perry having put the wrong name on the ticket and stuff, everyone is now paranoid about booking me a flight ticket, which is fair enough, I guess. But yeah, so that was all done now. We got our flights booked. I need to book the Airbnb today. been waiting for my parents to confirm that they're happy with the place that I picked out. And yeah, so then that'll be booked, and I'm really looking forward to going to Rome. I've been to Rome before when I travelled around Europe with a friend of mine back in summer of 2009. So this will be the first time I've gone back since then. It's a shame that Perry won't be able to come with us. I've always wanted to take Perry to Italy. I love Italy. I've been to Rome, Venice, and Florence, and I'd love to go to Italy with Perry. He's never been, so it's on our list of places to go. And so it's a shame that he can't come this time. March is going to be a very interesting month for us. Perry is away from early March. I think he leaves like on the 4th to go to New York. And then I leave on the 9th. And then I think he gets back on the 13th or 14th. And then I don't get back until like the 23rd or something. 22nd, 23rd, I think I'll probably be coming back. And then he leaves again on the 28th or 29th for another class he's got. So we're probably going to get all of about a week together in March. So yeah, March is going to be an interesting month. Busy, hopefully good kind of busy. And yeah, we will see how things work out. And all that to say, I think that is it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a happy week knitting. And I hope to see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.